I am Ruth Lawson, President of the Jefferson Chamber of Commerce, and I will be your moderator for today's event. Please stand while we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. So thank you to Jefferson Parish for recording our program today. You can find it on JPTV, Channel 6 for Cox, and Channel 99 for AT&T. At the close of the event, we are excited to announce we will be drawing 2 lucky winners to each receive a round-trip Southwest airline voucher, so stay tuned and stay present. You must be present to win. First, I would like to thank our presenting sponsor, First Horizon, and welcome to the stage Tony Adams, the New Orleans Market President with First Horizon.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tony Adams. I'm the Market President for First Horizon Bank. It's really great to see everyone here today. I wanted to start out by issuing a personal thanks to the staff of the Jefferson Chamber for throwing such a nice event. I've been with First Horizon for a little over 21 years, serving as Market President, working with our retail, commercial and private banking, wealth management, treasury, and mortgage lending teams. You know, if y'all noticed, the First Horizon signs went up in our facilities earlier this year as we completed our integration of Iberia Bank. And even though our name changed to First Horizon, we are still committed to delivering excellent customer service and supporting our local businesses and communities. We currently operate 18 facilities in the greater New Orleans area. 7 of them are right here in Jefferson Parish, servicing both sides of the river. Our 2 largest facilities in Metairie and Kenner house numerous of our departments and many of our associates. You know, we're always looking for ways to increase our support to Jefferson Parish businesses and communities. So now I promised to be brief today, so I'll turn it back over to the Chamber. But before I do, I wanted to issue a personal thanks to each of you for supporting the Jefferson Chamber, our local businesses, and nonprofit organizations. Thank you and have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Tony. Now, please welcome to the stage Al Galindo, Regional Customer Service Manager of Entergy, our 2022 Government Committee Chair, as well as our 2023 Chair-elect, and Donna Austin, Assistant Vice President of Decision Support and Healthcare Economics for People's Health Network, and our 2022 Chamber Chairwoman.
Thank you, Ruth. Our pro-business and forward-thinking Jefferson Parish government has continued to execute their ideas, and we could not be more appreciative of their leadership and collaboration. Please stand and be recognized. Councilman Marion Edwards, Councilman Byron Lee, Councilman Dino Bonanno, Councilman Dominic Impastato, Councilwoman Jennifer Van Franken, Councilman Ricky Templett, Councilman Scott Walker, and Parish President Cynthia Lee Shang. We would like to ask all other elected officials in attendance to please stand and be recognized. Thank you for your continued support of your Jefferson Chamber. And now please welcome our 2022 Chairwoman, Donna Austin, to recognize our sponsors.
Thank you, Al. Welcome to everyone. Our work, and especially our relevance and service as the voice of business, is not possible without the financial support of our sponsors. So thank you to the following sponsors: Presenting sponsor, First Horizon. Gift sponsor, Cox, Louisiana. Centerpiece sponsor, People's Health, a special place in my heart. Award sponsor, Ray Brand. Platinum sponsor, Tulane Lakeside. Media partner, Busan Creative Strategies. Gold sponsors, First Lake Properties, Adams and Reese, AT&T, Biz New Orleans, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Louisiana, Entergy, Event Producers, Fidelity Bank, NOLA Lending Group, Gamble Communications, Jefferson Financial Federal Credit Union, Jefferson Parish Public School System, Lamar, LCMC Health, Metairie Bank and Trust, Outfront Media, Southwest Airlines, and our Political Action Committee, the Jefferson Chamber PAC. Our silver sponsors, Black Tie Auctions, Citizens Bank, Cornerstone, Hub International, Inclusive Care, Jefferson Business Council, Jefferson Convention and Visitors Bureau, Linfield Hunter and Junius Inc., New Orleans Saints and Pelicans, Port of New Orleans, Richard CPAs, the TJC Group. Now please welcome our award sponsor, Rock Eshelman of Ray Brand Auto Group.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of our CEO, Jessica Brandt, and our entire team, we want to thank all of the citizens of Jefferson Parish, and especially the people who are in this room today. When the Auto Group was founded back in 1983, Mr. Brandt always knew that Jefferson Parish was really where the heart of business in our community was. And today we have all of our Louisiana stores, 14 rooftops total, in Jefferson Parish on the East and West Bank. Annually, an award is given to one outstanding parish employee who goes above and beyond the special calling of public service. Please welcome to the stage Parish President Cynthia Lee Shang to present the Joseph S. Yenny Award.
Thank you so much for this opportunity and for giving this award. And you know, we have thousands of employees in Jefferson Parish, and you might not recognize the name or their faces, but they are working hard for you every day. So for one to be represented today certainly means a lot to us. Iman Baptiste is our Housing Improvement Coordinator. She was absolutely the way she works and her work ethic, but most importantly, she helped launch our emergency rental assistance program. So obviously the past 2 years, housing and bringing stable housing to people, we had to have strong programs with that. So I think, you know, that is why she has risen above and she is able to get this award today. I want to recognize her director is Stephanie Brumsfield, who actually just got ratified by our council yesterday, and helping us narrow down all the award recipients is Nicole Thompson, our Human Resources Director, and if you see Nicole, it's her birthday today. So wish her a happy birthday. So this award goes to Iman Baptiste. Her husband's here with us, but Iman, you want to come forward and accept the award? Come down here.
Congratulations, Iman. I had the pleasure of working with Iman while I worked at the parish, and she's a stellar employee. Thank you for your service to Jefferson Parish, and a big thank you to Ray Brandt Auto Group for being our award sponsor. At this time, I would like to invite Jefferson Parish's Council Chairman, Ricky Templett, and Louisiana Public Service Commissioner, Eric Scrametta, to join our parish president on stage to begin our panel. Parish President Cynthia Lee Shang was sworn into office on January 8, 2020. Previously, she served as Councilwoman at Large for Division B in 2015 after serving as the Councilwoman for District 5 since 2009. Please give a warm welcome again to Parish President Cynthia Lee Shang. We also have Jefferson Parish Council Chairman and Councilman at Large for Division A, Ricky Templett. Ricky was sworn into office as Councilman for District 1 in January 2012. In October of 2019, Councilman Templett was elected to serve as the Council at Large for Division A. Prior to serving on the Jefferson Parish Council, he served as State Representative of District 85 from 2008 to 2011. Please welcome Jefferson Parish Councilman at Large, Ricky Templett. And last but not least, Louisiana Public Service Commissioner Eric Scrametta was elected to the Louisiana Public Service Commission in 2008 and was re-elected in 2014. He has been elected twice to serve as the chairman of the Louisiana Public Service Commission, most recently in 2018. Each time he was elected to serve 2 consecutive terms. Commissioner Scrametta has also served as a 2-term president of the Entergy Regional States Committee, and in late 2019, Eric was appointed White House liaison for the National Association of Regulatory Utility Commissioners. Please welcome Public Service Commissioner Eric Scrametta. Before we begin our panelists will have the opportunity to share a few opening remarks. We will start with Parish President Cynthia Lee Shang.
Thank you for having me here today. Let me make sure this is the clicker. I know there are 2 topics that I wanted to talk to you about today, and something that's really exciting, and I want to make sure everybody understands the commitment that we as a community are having. And then I know about 12 people have asked me about recreation, so I'm going to kind of rush through this really important issue, and then so I can talk more about recreation. So this is our aging sewer and water infrastructure. So I want to talk about this. I'm sorry, I need my glasses. Okay, so not only do roads, drainage, water infrastructure do the direct work of allowing us to travel safely, move rainwater out of our streets, have the modern day hygiene, but they serve another purpose for us in our community. They directly influence our economy's ability to function and grow. A recent Global Infrastructure Hub study found that the economic multiplier for public investment is 1.5 times greater than the initial investment in a 2 to 5 year time frame. In other words, for every $1 invested in infrastructure, it's $3 of economic activity that is created. And perhaps more importantly to those of us in this room, a highly functioning water and sewer infrastructure maintains the value of both your business property as well as your recreational property. So where do we stand financially? The voters have approved a current millage rate, so that was approved in March of last year. And then if you noticed in January of this year, we have increased your water and sewage fees, which we were some of the lowest in the country, to be able to bond that money out over time. So we will be able to have a spend and investment in our community of $1.1 billion in water and $1.2 billion in sewer, taking this to be a 20-year plan. So I believe securing this funding for this infrastructure will be viewed as one of the biggest accomplishments of our administration and our council during this 4-year term of office. And that's why I want to give this the time it needs today. I'm going to go quickly through some of these slides. So the aging sewer infrastructure, you'll recall, do I have that? I'm sorry, I can't see. So there was a sewer line that busted on West Napoleon about 2 years ago. It cost us 10 times the amount to fix that in emergency repairs than it would if we would have had a pipe replacement program. So that's what we want to get out of this wait until it breaks before we fix it mode. So I'm going to quickly go through some of these slides to tell you just the depth and breadth of what kind of projects are going on through your community. A new water testing lab on Jefferson Highway, that lab is 50 years old. New East Bank water treatment plant. West Bank treatment plant backup generator replacement. So this is what failed during Ida, which caused the boil water advisory. So we're going to go in and get new generators there. You have seen this throughout the parish, the 11 tower rehabilitation programs. We painted it really nice with the logos. That has to be done every 15 years. Parish-wide automated meter reader installation. You're going to love that. That's going to give you an app on your phone that's going to be able to tell you your daily water usage. If you have a leak in your home, you can pay your bill. Parish-wide water line replacement. We're going to replace 20% of our pipes, and this is an ongoing project for the next through 2041. And let's move to sewer. New and rehabilitated lift stations and backup generators. The Marrero treatment plant new safe house. We're going to have a safe house where our employees are going to be able to stay during storms to be able to act on it and mobilize immediately. The new Rosethorn treatment plant in John Lafitte. And again, similar to water, a parish-wide sewer replacement program. So I wanted to talk more about that, but because recreation is so top of the list, I did want to spend time, and I know there's so many more topics to cover. I'll start with this, and if you want state of the parish, I'm going to give you fresh off the news state of the parish. The process has been a difficult one, but it has been the most engaging and exciting process of my political career. And we have withstood a battering at Lemon Playground. When I say hundreds of people have been yelling at us, I mean it. And we have stayed and listened. Mario and I are the last ones to leave. The same thing that happened at Avondale. We're turning things around very quickly. You fill council chambers, and I've been on the council for quite some time. You fill council chambers in two ways. When you're giving out a lot of team awards because baseball teams and basketball teams have won championships, the chamber is packed. And if people are mad, you can fill that chamber. We had a council meeting yesterday, and even though this week I had hundreds of people yelling at my face, literally coming up to me. If you saw Lemon, they got out of their chairs and came up to me. Not one of those people came up at a council meeting yesterday to complain, because we turned it around that quickly, because we're developing trust that quickly, because we say we're listening, we are here. Maybe we made some missteps at the beginning, but we are moving so quickly on this thing. It is energizing. My team is pumped. Lemon is pumped. Avondale is pumped. And I can't wait to get to the 4 more, because the louder you yell at me, I know who I can work with. The loudest ones are the ones that the next day Mario goes and meets with. After the emotions die down, they sit at the table, and they are going to be the strongest proponents at that playground for us on the field. So when I get a headline like today, Lee Shang shelves playground plan, to say I was gutted, to say who was going to break this to Mario Bazile that this headline came out is a tough one. It's false. I'm working on trying to get it corrected. It's harder because I have 4 more community meetings that if they read this headline, people are going to be like, I don't have to go to Bright now. She's stopping. Nothing could be further from the truth. So I need you to get the word out, despite this headline, that we are pushing forward, that I have 4 more community meetings that I want people at, that I need people at, even if they're going to yell at me, because we're moving quickly. We're not stopping. I'm not giving up on the kids. The council is lockstep with me. We discussed it at the meeting yesterday. We are all going to bring home a big win for our kids. So why am I taking this on? Okay, we have 27 playgrounds throughout the parish. If we were going to build playgrounds again, no way would we build 27. I have playgrounds that have 2,400 kids. I have playgrounds that have 88 kids. And that level of service that we are giving to the kids with only 88 kids at their home playground is not something that I'm proud of. I know we can do better. So that's one of the things we're taking it on. We want to specialize. Sports is not the way it was in the 1970s when I grew up at Lakeshore Playground and had an incredible experience. And I want to give that experience to every Jefferson Parish kid. We lose kids and they peel off. Many of you I know in the room are in the club world. You peel off at club and you got to pay a lot of money. So our best athletes who get the best training in this parish are the kids whose families can afford to do that, and that doesn't sit well with me. Everyone should be able to excel in the sport of their choice and be able to make a high school team, and Jefferson Parish Recreation needs to give them that specialized experience all year long. So we have empty gyms. Why does basketball season have to only go through November to January? Why can't I run basketball again? Why can't I call it a basketball academy and I run it all year long? And that's one of the things we're trying to address too. And of course, we need space for new playgrounds. We need space for new sports. Pickleball, everybody wants pickleball. Family tennis. So we need reasons to expand. So that's some of the reasons that we took this on. I want to give you the latest information. Please, if you are a playground parent, get engaged with us. Come to the community meetings. Let us hear what you have to say. We're going to make really big things happening, and we're going to hit this out of the park. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Parish President. Please give a moment and all your attention. Next up, we will have Council Chairman Ricky Template.
Well, because I could have gone on forever. So I just needed a...
Thank you, Ruth. And no, thank you for everyone for being out here this afternoon. One of the exciting things is that we're all here. I got so used to Zoom calls and worried about what was in the backdrop or what was running around. It's great to be here with y'all in person, and thank you very much. Cynthia said it a couple of times of us working together and working with the council as a whole. Jefferson Parish is thriving and doing well because of the unity that we have amongst all of us. There has not been a time in recent memory when we've had a council, an administration, and a legislative body all working together for a common goal to move Jefferson Parish forward, not agendas forward. So that's a big accomplishment for us. There's much progress planning for Jefferson Parish, and I wanted to make sure that each one of the districts in Jefferson Parish and my colleagues get an opportunity to show the success that's happening in their districts here in Jefferson Parish. So for the next few minutes, I want each of you to see what is happening in Louisiana's most exciting and productive parish. Can we roll the film, please? Today, 450,000 people wake up in Jefferson Parish, one of the safest, strongest parishes in all of Louisiana, with the average household income that is $20,000 more than the state average. Families in Jefferson Parish enjoy good schools, smooth roads, dependable utilities, and safe streets. Over 200,000 people work in Jefferson Parish, with 97% of our businesses expecting to keep their same workforce. Jefferson Parish is a story that is so impressive, we have become the envy of the state. I'm Councilman Ricky Template, and I am privileged and proud to take you on a short journey to see how my fellow council members and this administration is using our tax dollars. This is a short film with highlights on how we are upgrading our parish and your quality of life.
Scott Walker is caring for our future. Councilman Walker is leading a crusade to generate a $1 million investment in high-quality early learning programs. His work will benefit 28,000 Jefferson Parish children who are 4 years old or under, instilling in them a lifelong enthusiasm for reading and learning. In partnership with Start Early, Jefferson Ready Start Network, with Councilman Walker's guidance, is expected to help our children learn the skills necessary to succeed and graduate high school. Every dollar we invest in our youngest children returns up to $13 in investment in our parish, a smart use for our funding.
In Council District 1, serving Gretna, Lafitte, Grand Isle, Terrytown, and parts of Harvey and Marrero, Councilman Marion Edwards has his eyes on bringing a river cruise line to the Gretna Ferry Landing. Councilman Edwards' plans to overhaul the River Batcher is gaining momentum as city officials hope for the return of water taxis and to boost their tourism sector dollars. Councilman Edwards is also dedicating resources to upgrading street lighting in Terrytown and Harvey and beautifying the entire West Bank while also conducting a district-wide blight eradication effort. He is developing the first-of-its-kind senior living community by land banking, developing a public-private partnership, and establishing new planning and zoning guidelines.
In District 2, including Harahan, West Wego, River Ridge, Old Jefferson, and parts of Marrero and Harvey, we dedicated millions to redevelop the Shrine on Airline in Metairie. The council secured an additional $10 million in state funds to develop the facility into a multi-purpose rectangular-shaped field that can be home to high school football, soccer, rugby, and major concerts. Councilman Bonanno is working closely with the New Orleans Saints leaders and Oxnard representatives to develop a state-of-the-art sports rehabilitation center and a New Orleans Saints-hosted hotel, all on the St. Zephyr's footprint.
Councilman Bonanno also teamed up with State Senator Pat Connell, who helped land $7 million in state funds to preserve and restore Spanish colonial revival-style buildings of Hope Haven and Marrero. Councilman Bonanno and Senator Connick have envisioned a new 40,800 square foot aquatic center and natatorium. The campus would also include a walking and fitness trail, concession area, coffee stand, and an open field for concerts.
And also in Councilman Bonanno's portfolio is the newly named Avondale Global Gateway. When the chains came off Avondale in 2018, there were only 4 jobs on site. Now the site hosts 300 full-time and 200 part-time workers, where higher skilled employees are taking home 6 figures a year. Councilman Bonanno is working closely with JEDCO to help restore commerce at the site, which will eventually host up to 2,300 permanent jobs.
In Council District 3, which includes parts of Marrero, Harvey, Wagaman, Avondale, and Kenner, Councilman Byron Lee has focused his attention on returning the Ilario Center to its original splendor. Councilman Lee is guiding a $5 million upgrade to the Ilario Center to provide new basketball courts, a new sports court, and a reconfiguration of the facility to host the Mardi Gras balls. The councilman has also planned festival grounds at the Ilario Center with an amphitheater, spectator lighting, drainage and security fencing for gated events.
Councilman Lee has also secured a $1.7 million e-library that will be built next to the future Kenner Head Start. The facility will include breakout rooms, computer bays, and e-books. In the food desert of Wagaman, West Wego, and Avondale, Councilman Lee is working on a public-private venture to provide a grocery store for the area residents.
In Council District 4, Councilman Dominic Impastato and new Kenner Mayor, Council and Chief are rapidly reviving the city of Kenner. With the help of Senator Kirk Talbot and Representative Debbie Villio, Councilman Impastato is bringing much-needed drainage relief to northern Kenner neighborhoods. A near $13 million pumping station will be constructed to protect homes and businesses. The long-dilapidated Kenner boat launch is being restored by Councilman Impastato. Nearly $3 million of Go Mesa and federal funds were secured by the councilman to fully resurrect the once popular boat launch. Councilman Impastato is actively engaged in the redevelopment of Kenner, from the river where private-public partnerships are being guided to Central City, where there are bold plans for the Esplanade Mall, to the lake where Boyd Gaming will soon break ground on 47,000 square foot single-story casino with an area for sports betting, a new steakhouse, and a 10,000 square foot meeting room.
Councilman Impastato also has designs on significantly improving Lafreniere Park's 155 acres of multi-use entertainment space. Among Councilman Impastato's projects are the development of a $3.3 million food pavilion, restructured boat launches for water sports, a $2.5 million health track, a new bike path, and planning for a larger staging complex to host major music events.
In District 5, the most eastern part of the parish, Councilwoman Jennifer Van Vranken's vision to make Bucktown the jewel of the lakefront is coming into focus. The Councilwoman's $11 million redevelopment project will create breakwaters that transform a mile-long section of the lake into a water playground. When complete, kayakers and canoers will be able to paddle along the shoreline. The new area will complement the 34-acre Bucktown Wetlands Preserve and Harbor. With its 1,000-foot curved boardwalk around the living shoreline, the serene, picturesque waterfront dream of Jennifer Van Vranken will become a favorite gathering place for friends and family, water enthusiasts, bird watchers, and anyone who wants to learn about our plants, wildlife, fisheries, and coastal ecosystem.
Another ambitious project by Councilwoman Van Vranken is the ongoing facelift to Fat City, Metairies Central Business District. Located in an opportunity zone, Fat City is fast becoming a dynamic and diverse place to live, work, shop, and eat. The area's aggressive Severn Avenue construction project is solving an age-old flooding issue while developing more connectivity with walkways, bike lanes, and more. Working in cooperation with the Metairie Business Development District, Councilwoman Van Vranken is tapping into ARPA funding to build a centrally located parking garage and transit hub that will allow businesses to thrive. Inside that transportation hub will also be an area with flexible meeting space, a digital library, and the start of a business incubator that brings new ideas to life.
Parish-wide, we enjoy the safety provided by our local police departments and the JPSO. On the West Bank, the Jefferson Parish Council has funded a task force that is comprised of officers from the Jefferson's Parish Sheriff's Office, the West Wego Police Department, the Gretna Police Department, the Kenna Police Department, the Oregon Sheriff's Department, and the Plaquemine Parish Sheriff's Office. Their mission is to manage violent crime and narcotics investigations across all region jurisdictions.
As you can see, the state of Jefferson Parish can be described simply as strong, safe, and resilient. The administrative and legislative teams of Jefferson Parish are working in harmony to accelerate progress on all fronts, despite the challenges of a pandemic, record inflation, rising gas prices, faltering supply chain, and even the wrath of Mother Nature. Jefferson Parish is one of the fastest parishes to return to commerce following Ida, a testament to true teamwork at all levels, a strong economic base, rising sale revenue, rising property values, innovative thinking, collaborative leadership to build a better parish, and a safe and peaceful lifestyle all defines the state of Jefferson as thriving. That's why we believe, as goes Jefferson, so goes the region. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Councilman. I think everyone can see from that video our incredible council, our incredible administration are doing things in every part of Jefferson Parish to move our parish forward. We're very proud of you, and we appreciate the hard work that all of you are doing. So thank you. Last but not least, we have Louisiana Public Service Commissioner Eric Skrmetta. Please welcome to the stage Mr. Eric Skrmetta.
Let's see, I'm not used to using PowerPoint, so this is my cue to cycle? Okay. No, my speech teacher was Reed Buckley, who was William F. Buckley's brother, and he said PowerPoint was the scourge of the universe. But I will endeavor to work my way through this. Look, I've been Public Service Commissioner now, edging into the end of my 15th year. This has kind of come to the edge, and let's see where we are on this. Let's see. Bring this thing up. You got a PowerPoint? Let's see. Greg, can you have them pull this up? Anyway, when I came to the commission in 2009, I made a very concerted pledge. And my pledge was to lower utility rates and to hold companies accountable. And that was the most important thing of what we could do. And the good news is that we did so. How we did so is the way we did it. So we eliminated executive bonuses at the executive level of the control of the utilities. We eliminated their stock elements and this was in the multi-millions of dollars. We also reduced the returns on equity that went through with the utilities. Returns on equity ranged well above 10% when I first took office. We're now in a bandwidth that goes well below 7 on performance bandwidths on some companies, but averages between 9.5 down into the 7 range. Some get a little bit more. Everybody is based, as you know, as business folks, it's about cost of capital. Let's see if I can get this to work. There we go. And the other way we lower rates is we take these companies to court. We go into audits, we look for where they are making mistakes, and you've seen it on your bills when you get credits for in your homes and your businesses, and if you're industrial customers, you see it there. Currently, we are engaged in well over 15 cases at the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, and those amounts that we are seeking to recover are in excess of right now of over $2 billion. That alone is important because the Louisiana Public Service Commission, when we recover those monies, immediately return them in credits to the ratepayers, unlike other regulatory bodies which hold on to them and manipulate them through political process and do not return them to the ratepayers. We also created a bond system. Prior to my engaging at the commission would simply just go to the banks and borrow the money at bank rate. We created a system, which is now universally used in the United States, of going directly to Wall Street. And we place bonds. We have been able to shift that. We've seen bond rates on some of the bonds we bought as low as 1.1% when we were borrowing money on Katrina and Rita bonds. We're currently right now working on bonds for the 7 hurricanes and 1 ice storm in 2020, and also working on Ida. Those are going to be worked out over the next few years. Let's see if we can get another one. Okay. Anyway, so the result for the last 8 years is Louisiana and Entergy Louisiana, and generally the Louisiana component that the Louisiana Public Service Commission regulates, enjoys the lowest utility rates in the country, and that's for about the last 8 years of service. The frustration comes in 2021. Federal guidelines under the Biden administration have forced utility companies to spend more just to meet new federal standards. And as we all know, the Green New Deal has kicked in. It has changed the dynamic in Washington, which changes the regulatory process that all of these companies have to follow. Now, oil and gas exports have risen over the last couple of years, particularly natural gas. Natural gas was originally, our LNG exports to Europe were about 34%. Now, in June, they were about 74% to Europe to make up for the Russian cutoff. Now, the promise from the president is he is going to exceed 74%. We had a major spike in natural gas prices over the summer, where we went from a 54-week low of about $3.50 for gas to over $9 for gas in August. We're now a little bit over $5 for gas. We're in a shoulder season. We're not consuming this electricity as much. But we also think it's associated with the midterm elections in an effort to drive prices down to shift the vote. We also find that drilling and permitting are very restricted by the federal government, and that is minimizing the amount of volume of natural gas that can come into the market. And we also are faced always with the alphabet groups like the EPA and other federal agencies which force utilities to add more capital expenses through environmental costs associated with that. All of these costs, by federal law, by federal Supreme Court law, are required to be recovered by the companies simply because if it wasn't, it would be an unconstitutional taking. We make sure that they only recover what's absolutely necessary. And it becomes a frustration because rates haven't changed, but the fuel adjustment charges rose heavily. Now, these utilities do not make any money on fuel. It's a pass-through cost. We audit them to make sure that they buy fuel at the lowest price possible, at the best deal possible, and they pass these charges back to the ratepayers. So the commission has no authority over that. That is strictly controlled through the marketplace, but it's affected by federal process and federal rules and regulation. And as we've seen over the last year of the administration, federally, that can impact everything from the gas pump to the gas prices of natural gas. And meeting the new standards under the Green New Deal is becoming more problematic as the push to increase renewables and drive out traditional sources of power is effectively raising the rates potential because They want to add more infrastructure. They want to decommission infrastructure, but they don't have a way to back up the new infrastructure. So it's problematic, and it's going to change cost standards. So the result is your utility bill is more expensive, but it's mostly from things the Commission has no control over, but we are constantly fighting to find ways to change that. Solutions. Well, we keep auditing the companies relentlessly. That's what we do. Most people don't understand what the Commission does, and right now we are in the middle of a trial at the FERC against one of the utilities, which was supposed to be a 4-week trial. It is engaging in towards a 7-week trial, and that is one that is an important trial to achieve a significant credit back to the ratepayers. The midterms could also change federal policy. I personally, from my political party, have high hopes that if we change the dynamic in Washington, we will be able to change the dynamic of how we look at energy policy in the country. Now, Congress needs to learn one thing and one thing only that would help us, which is to treat all consumers equally and provide relief on natural disaster expenses equally. Because if you're a Entergy company, a customer, or a SWEPCO customer, or a CLECO customer, you don't get treated the same way if you're a DEMCO customer, or a WST customer, or a co-op customer. Because if you have hurricane damage and you're a co-op customer, approximately 75 to 95% of your storm bill is going to be paid for by the taxpayers of the United States. But if you're a private company customer, you have to pay that by federal law. And that is discriminatory in my viewpoint. And we have worked on this with our federal delegation, and they are trying to help us, but we have to get past the midterms. We have to then engage people like you to work with our congressional delegation to change this. And this comes through the Stafford Act. The Stafford Act is the authorizing legislation of FEMA, and we have to change the Stafford Act to allow for the inclusion of investor-owned utilities in the recovery of federal funds, whether it be through the creation of a transmission trust or it's the creation of some other element. We have to expand it to include this. And I'll give you a very clear example. Puerto Rico, even before this summer, the Biden administration has given them $125 billion just to change their system out that has to be paid out to them by the end of 2024, if you can figure that date out. But they don't need it. Their system was up and running. So it's problematic on that level where we tried to get $2 billion from the federal government and could not get a penny. So we have to look at this discriminatory practice of the federal government and how it provides unequal treatment for its citizens. So we look at these solutions, we keep auditing to disallow midterms issues, and we move on to that. Dangers ahead. We do have one Republican commissioner at the Public Service Commission who is flirting with deregulation. This is a mistake, and it's a mistake for obvious reasons. If we deregulate, the commission would no longer have oversight over utilities. We would lose the ability to audit. We would lose the ability to ensure that utilities buy smart. We would not have any control over recovery over storm costs. This would be a problem. We would never be able to resolve the issues again, and the consumers of this state, regardless of residential, commercial, or industrials, would be at the mercy of the utilities. And all you have to do is look back to what happened in Texas during the ice storm of 2021, where the utilities there are divided. There are some that are regulated and some are unregulated. The unregulated ones went from an average charge during that storm of $15 a megawatt to $9,000 a megawatt. And in that matter, they went into a massive debt. They're in the billions of dollars, and they are going to be looking to collect this over 30 years, not including the potential bankruptcies that are rife throughout the state of Texas. So what can you do? Well, first thing you could do is contact the Public Service Commission. You don't have to contact me because I know where I stand, but contact these folks and tell them that you want oversight to continue. The Constitution of the state provides for it. It says we shall regulate public utilities. Tell Congress, call your congressman, tell them to amend the Stafford Act to include and treat investor-owned utilities equally so we're treated equally, and support new regulation to harden the grid and cut expenses. I want you to learn about two things we're working, and then I'll be finished quickly. I have legislation that's going to go into the session here in the state next summer to provide a 100% tax credit for grocery stores, gas stations, and pharmacies to install backup gas generators, natural gas generators. This is something to stabilize the economy and the community when we do have power outages. That's number one, and I hope you all will support this with your legislators. The second thing is, we have recently, and with the last meeting or so, finished completion of authorizing a distributed energy system where you saw New Orleans fight for months and months, if not years, to create a small power plant in New Orleans East. With a single vote and a very quick movement, the Public Service Commission has built a system to add in a new power mechanism bigger than the one in New Orleans East, and it's going to be spread through microsystems throughout the area that is going to be at about 60% of the cost of the one in New Orleans. It is going to be shared with host companies that are paying for a part of it, and it's going to provide boost power in zones when it's needed, when we're short of power in areas. And at the same time, when the power goes out, those hosts will have power. And it's going to be grocery stores, it's going to be hotels, it's going to be businesses, and they are going to stay open during these storms to provide services to the community. So I want to tell you that it has been one of the great privileges and honors of my life to serve my community as commissioner, and we're always there to help you, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Commissioner Skrmetta, and thank you all for your remarks. Thank you for joining me on our panel today. I will begin with our parish president. So compared to this time last year, it would be hard to think that Jefferson Parish is not in a better condition than it was in 2021. But President Lee Shang, can you please tell us what is the state of the parish as of today?
Well, I think, okay, yeah, absolutely. I think what we're seeing in local government is what you are looking at as well, is that we're not in a defensive mode anymore. We're able to take on other projects, and that's been really energizing for all of us. And I've said this last year, and I'll say it this year. We have come through so strong. Our sales tax every month beats the same month the year before by 10%, by 14%. I mean, it ebbs and flows as the year goes on. And that was at the beginning of COVID when that was happening. It was surprising to me because when you think it's chaotic and you don't know your own, where your people are losing jobs and you feel like financially things are very unsettling, to have that steadiness that the sales tax just keeps growing is incredible. And then of course, you know, we saw that during Ida. So I think we're really in a strong place. We talk a lot about how business and government get along. Don't minimize that. Like, that's important to a community, that council members talk to one another, that I have a good working relationship with the council, that we all have a good working relationship with you. It is critical. We see how critical that is, and it's not just easy words that we all say. It has real meaning and real consequences in our community. Thanks.
And thank you for mentioning that. You know, we often say at the chamber and throughout the business community that this is the most pro-business council and administration that we've had in years. So we appreciate all the work you've done. You saw the video, you've heard from Cynthia. We're just very grateful for y'all's service. So Jefferson Parish's momentum, as you mentioned, continues to grow even as we've experienced a pandemic, a Category 4 hurricane, and New Orleans' highest violent crime year to date. Councilman Templet and President Lee Shang, how do we capitalize on this apparent momentum and continue to attract more businesses to the parish? And equally important, how do we diversify our economy on both sides of the river?
Well, and let me just state, and to complement what Parish President said a minute ago as far as our sales tax growing. Look, during the height of the pandemic, Jefferson Parish in 2020, when our neighboring parishes were borrowing $200 million to stay alive, we still experienced an increase of 2.5% sales tax that year, and has continued to grow. You know, we have the best business climate in the state of Louisiana, and that's because, once again, that we are all working together and trying to pull the parish forward. No one is a yes person sitting on the council and as far as the administration, but we all have a common goal to make sure we move in Jefferson forward to make it a better place for all of us to live, work, and play. And those are those type of items and projects we need to continue to do.
So I think we look at it like, what can we control? We can't control the whole economy. There are global factors that some of you and your companies look to make decisions. But for instance, let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Permitting. We've been hearing about permitting. That is kind of a frustrating process. You hear me working about recreation, but we're working on permitting just as much, and we're not ready to reveal some of the things, but we're certainly moving that needle a lot. Our council has been, leaders in seeing that we have a niche to fit in with New Orleans tourism, our sports tourism, that is really has an incredible potential to grow. Obviously, it fits in with recreation, but when we can land regional tournaments here, it fills hotel rooms, it puts people in malls, it puts people in restaurants. So you got to look at what we can control and then really work on that to say, this is our piece of it, and we're going to do the best we can for what we can contribute to that.
Wonderful.
And if I can add to that, also too, we need to make sure we continue to work with our chamber and JETCO as partners. I mean, we have one of those unique situations which both of those organizations, they're not just part of the parish, they're partners with the parish.
Thank you for mentioning that. We have a wonderful working relationship with JEDCO. I'm very appreciative of Jerry Bologna, who's always worked to move this parish forward. And we've seen record number of ribbon cuttings in Jefferson Parish through the chamber. We've seen companies moving out of certain areas into Jefferson, and we welcome them with open arms. Commissioner Skrmetta, I don't want to jinx our good luck, but while we are in the height of hurricane season, so far, the tropics have been pretty quiet for our region. Can you tell us how the LPSC is working with the utilities it regulates to help make our community more resilient to both endure a hurricane and help us get back on our feet more quickly?
Sure. Whoops, let me get this far away. We work with the utilities constantly. We have, standards we establish for the restoration of services, number one. You'll see what happened in Florida after the recent hurricane. They made a statement that there was about 30,000 line workers there. Well, those same 30,000 line workers, plus a few extra, were here after the hurricane last year. They all work through mutual aid. There's only about 35 to 40,000 line workers in the entire country. So unfortunately for us, we are in an area that will probably achieve damage more than, let's just say, the state of Kansas isn't going to get it from hurricanes, right? So we are all in this particular damage zone. But these companies, whether they are the co-ops or the investor-owned utilities, all plan, practice, and stage for how they react, how they respond, and how they recover. It's the three elements of what they should do. We have added in, over the last couple of years, drone programs to cut down on manpower to establish. A lot of people don't realize that there are numbers of transmission lines that go through the swamp. And so to get to them, to check them, they used to have to go by boat or by marsh buggy. Now we can move them in by drone, and we did an example about 3 years ago when we first did this. We actually brought in drones from a movie company and cut off near 170 man-hours just to establish this line run. And credits to the utilities, all the investor-owned utilities and AT&T, who established the funding for a drone licensing program at Brother Martin High School for the students. So that when they get out, they can get their commercial drone pilot license so they can do this, and it's been a success for them. We move into every technique and every element that can be used to improve trimming man hours and improving how they respond. Originally, these crews used to go out in teams of cutting crews, the bucket trucks, and everybody run together. Well, they can't go and put the bucket trucks up unless the winds come below 40 miles an hour. So we said, let's put the scouts out independent. Let's put them out while the wind's still blowing. Let's put the tree cutters out while they can do this, and then put the bucket guys out when they do this. We trimmed man hours, and we got response. The great success story that people don't seem to recognize was the last hurricane, when we lost most of the transmission lines into the region. And it's a tabletop exercise that is reviewed nationally now, that What we did was go beyond our normal process. We all worked together and we engaged with power companies outside of our zone, particularly to the southeast with southern companies, and we staged power back into the region using the New Orleans power plant as a switch, not for power. And we brought power back in through sections into the city, and we got power back because you can't just turn it all back on at once, it'll blow up. But we staged power back on and got it back on, and we're repairing everything in 4 days. Once you can get the transmission up, everything came back on. So it's a complicated issue. It's the most important, biggest infrastructure in the world is the American electric system. But it's how you stage, how you work, how you go forward. We replace all old stuff that gets knocked down with the newest standard. Next week at the Public Service Commission, we did analysis privately of what withstood issues in Florida, and we're going to have all the utilities do tests on a new particular type of utility pole for more impact-heavy areas or heavy carry load areas. We're doing that. We also have noticed that with the advent of with more people using like fiber and things, they're wrapping fiber around power lines and things, it's putting a bigger burden on power poles. So we're trying to investigate what engineering issues need to be done about or charging these companies to offset your rates, to do all these things. So there's a multitude of things that are constantly going on that are pretty much outside the sort of general scope of review of the public, but they need to know that these companies, whether they're the smallest or the biggest, they only make money when they sell electricity. So they want to keep the electricity flowing, and they are working hard to make sure that they can respond, they can react to the situation, and they can recover, and they can do it safely.
Thank you, Commissioner. I know it's multi-layers, some of which I did not understand until just now, but I appreciate your understanding and your explaining to us. Councilman Tiplant, in staying in line with how we make our parish stronger and more resilient for uncertainties in the future, which areas of the parish do you see as most vulnerable, and what can we do to protect them from challenges such as coastal erosion and natural disasters?
Well, on top of the commissioner was just talking about, we all heard after Ida hardening the systems, hardening everything that helps protect Jefferson Parish from multiple levels. And I just want to mention on that, working closely with Commissioner Scametta, Jefferson Parish has hardened a lot of its areas as far as electricity along our coastal areas, Grand Isle, Lafitte, and has done a wonderful job with him working through energy to make that happen. So I do want to tell you thank you for that, because that is something that needs to be said. Each storm brings different challenges. But I will tell you, Jefferson Parish is more prepared now than it ever has been before for storms. We had basically, in all reality, a Category 5 hurricane bear down on Jefferson Parish with Ida. Within the levee protective system, it did its job. We had really no flooding, no storm surge within the system. Naturally, we had power outages, but the system worked. Prior to Katrina, ladies and gentlemen, especially on the West Bank, we didn't have 100-year protection. Those areas would have definitely been impacted if Jefferson Parish hasn't taken steps with the federal government to move those areas forward. The parish was prepared. Areas that are most vulnerable, and we all know it, is outside the levee protective system: Grand Isle, Lafitte, Crown Point, Barataria, and Lower Lafitte. Those areas are our first line of defense. And let me be honest with you, we want those areas out there being our first line of defense, because we need them to break down the wave action, to break down the tidal surge, to slow those storms down before they get here. Every war we fight, we try to fight on someone else's ground. We want to keep the war out there in the marsh and keep Grand Isle and Lafitte as our first line of protection. But let's not forget, these are people's families and homes. We lost 700 structures in Grand Isle only during Ida. Think of that around your neighborhood. Pick out 700 homes that might be a family or a friend or a relative of yours that were impacted. Same thing for Lafitte. I was asked by a reporter during that storm, Well, what do you tell the public that keeps seeing these people flood outside the levee protective system and they're still staying there? My answer to that was, these individuals didn't pick where that levee protective system went. Some bureaucrats somewhere said, well, it's cheaper to put a levee here and let's protect it and put it here. So we need to make sure we keep fighting with Congress and pushing to protect those areas outside the levee protective system. Believe me, the federal government will spend millions and millions of dollars to protect the habitat of a green frog, or billions of dollars to protect another country. But we need to make sure we start spending our money here and protecting a way of life, a quality of life, and to protect Jefferson Parish, because believe me, that is the first line of defense for all of us, because eventually, if the right storm comes and we don't have the marshland and Grand Isle and Lafitte sitting out taking the first hit, the Mississippi River levee on the West Bank will be the remaining levee protecting us.
Thank you. President Lee Shang, the parish is known for its ability to provide great customer service to its citizens. However, there's always room for improvement. Can you describe how Jefferson Parish, and Councilman Tiplett touched on it, but how is Jefferson Parish better prepared to weather a storm, and some lessons we may have learned through Hurricane Ida?
So since last year, and I think our response was incredible, and we wouldn't be doing our job if we didn't really take a deep dive look at the response of every department and say how we can do it better. So it's a good contrast to the different roles we have. Our council, along with our legislators, along with our federal delegation, fights for resources to build the levees, to build the protection. My job is more of a manpower issue and managing departments for the response on this. And so every storm was different, but we only lost one person during Ida. 6 more after in the post-community breakdown of just, we're not ourselves, we're, carbon monoxide deaths. And when I saw what happened in Florida in their late, I don't want to blame, but their late evacuation, they just weren't used to being, we were in the mode of like, we're vulnerable. The year before was really tough. I knew the death toll that I was hearing at the beginning was just going to grow. I just knew it was going to grow. So, our experiences had us prepared. We really looked at it. Fuel was a problem this last storm. People didn't even have the fuel to get out because it hit a refinery. So things like us pre-placing fuel throughout the parish for our first responder teams, for us to be able to respond, is one of the new improvements that we'll have. Sheltering, we had to immediately shelter people. We had never had to do that in a storm before, is actually shelter people pre-storm and then right after the storm, and then again after we sent them to Bastrop or Alexandria weeks later, another couple hundred people coming back without a home, having a shelter there. So we've incredibly improved those services with food contracts, with pre-positioned nurses that we're going to use and actually house them, how to do wound care, how to get prescription medications filled, all of that kind of stuff. A lot of improvements on that. Our council worked with us. Food was a problem, getting quality food out. When people are doing manual labor day in and day out, you need to give them good food. Sometimes it's just that little, we all know when we have a hard time, we're able to eat some good food. So we improved the food contract. And then all of our post-storm evacuation policies, we have been doing tabletop exercises. We still were doing those as of, just 2 weeks ago, I think I had the last one, to really get our timelines and our time frames, what needs to happen at H-120, what needs to happen at H-96. Those things are really more formalized now.
Great, thank you. So, Commissioner Skrmetta, we've heard a lot of buzz, and I know you touched about it in your opening remarks, but since Hurricane Ida, we've heard a lot of buzz about deregulation amongst electric utilities. Can you tell us the background of how this works in other areas and the pros and cons of what may be of regulation versus deregulation?
Sure. It's never been a success anywhere it is. It's always got a weak link in it. It's in California, it's in Texas, it's in about 20 different jurisdictions. It's got sort of like that shiny sort of nickel element, and then you find out it's made out of lead. There are critical elements to where when there is a danger to the system. So like in areas where it's real hot or real cold, they shift. I think you've probably heard about the company called Excel in Colorado when people started finding out they were manipulating their thermostats, and they locked them out so they couldn't cool themselves off in the summertime. That was one where that was a deregulated system that people had signed up for and didn't realize what they had signed up for. And what we find is that people the issue is of one of protection. Texas is the greatest example. Texas has two sides. Texas has a deregulated side and a regulated side. Its regulated side rates are maybe about 15 to 20% higher than Louisiana's. Its deregulated rates are triple Louisiana rates. And that doesn't include the problems it has with the way their system is set up is vastly different from ours because of their increasing reliance on wind power, which is not reliable by itself because it drops off too quick. And then they have to jam in and run to other markets to buy more power, and that cost goes up very quickly, and they pass those costs on without really making it apparent to the folks. So, our value with what we do is we make sure that there is a steady, regulated amount. We make sure that the companies earn reasonable amounts to make them competitive to where they can encourage people to buy shares in their company. We make it to where they are reasonable to where they can borrow money on the markets, they can have fair rates of return, and we make for a stable element. When I first came a commissioner, one of the commissioners from another state told me a couple of things. He told me the first thing you have to remember is that when people go to hit the light switch that the power comes on. It says, do that. And then so when at the end of the day, when they get their bill at the end of the month, that the price of that bill is the lowest you can get it. I said, okay. And I said, because other than that, the miracle happens in between those two things. And I said, that's fine. And he says, the other thing is you just got to remember that the ability of the commission is to provide stability of that system, where everywhere there has been a deregulated system, there's a lack of stability, and there are rampant cost shifts in the marketplace. So it doesn't really work simply because of the infrastructure. It's not like a cell phone where it doesn't require a bunch of infrastructure. This requires the most complicated infrastructure there is, and even if someone was trying to move it around, they'd have to pay the original guy who had it to use it, so it just adds costs. So, there's a reason that 49 states are jealous of Louisiana and how we run, because they want to come in here and deregulate, but at the same time, where those people are from, they don't want to deregulate in those states because they control them. So it's a complicated system, but I can tell you that we are still the lowest rates in the country, but for this spike in natural gas. And the long-term look at this, post-2024 and even sooner, is we will be back to the lowest bills in the country.
Thank you. I know this discussion will continue ongoing, and I anticipate that
it's a lot.
you all will be talking about it over the next year or so. So, a little rapid-fire questions, just a couple of minutes for each of you. We want you to touch on what are the 2 to 3 biggest challenges and biggest opportunities for the parish, and how do those relate to the challenges around the region? We'll start with you, Parish President Leishman.
I'll say, the biggest challenge I think for us as a community is risk rating 2.0 and the flood insurance rates that are going up. Also with the homeowner rates that you're facing, that insurance piece is critical for us. So, I know we're advocating and our federal delegation is there, but that on the horizon of things worries me. And then just the shake out of COVID in our workforce. Certainly as an employer, it's hard for me to compete at a dollar comparison rate like you all are having issues hiring people. We are too. And so, if I have the resources to deliver it, but I don't have the manpower to do it, that will really hold us back in a really bad way. And we offer a pension and we offer health care. So all of that goes into an employee's wages, but it is not reflected in an hourly rate. So we are at a competitive disadvantage there. And then I will say this, the opportunities are, this is a statistic I love about Jefferson Parish, we are the most diverse. I say this all the time, we're the most diverse racially, and we have diverse land uses. If you go from swampland to industrial to high residential to commercial, it's all within 20-minute drive in Jefferson Parish, which I think is very unique. And then our economy and what you all do from the kind of business sector that we have, the diversity there. We're not so dependent on tourism, or we're not so dependent on one industrial company for our job like some of the surrounding parishes are. It is our very strength and our opportunity as we move forward.
Thank you. Risk Rating 2.0 continues to be one of our largest federal priorities that we're tracking. We just came back from our DC fly-in with about 50 of our members, and it was the hot topic amongst the entire federal delegation, and I urge each of you to make noise about it because it is scary. Councilman Templet.
And just to, echo the same concerns about the flood insurance, but also homeowners insurance. We're having the issue now to where if a young family wants to locate in Jefferson Parish or relocate in Jefferson Parish in certain areas, it's at some points their homeowners insurance and flood insurance is more than a house note. That is becoming a problem. We're trying to entice people to move and live within our parish and raise their families. But if it becomes uneconomically able to, because of the funding source for the insurance and flood insurance, it doesn't happen. So we really need to figure out a way to combat that. I mean, look, we flood insurance-wise, working with our delegation, look, we subsidize across this country, transportation, housing, multiple other things. We need to figure out a way we can subsidize some type of flood program for the people that are mostly impacted by that. Another problem we have, and it's no secret in this room, we have next door, we have a major crime problem. That's which Jefferson Parish has to deal with each and every day and protect ourselves. And I might be saying this out of school. I was asked about a month ago, Ricky, how does Jefferson Parish keep itself still safe and economically sound with what's taking place around it? I said, look, I'm just going to go back to the old Western movies. They, the wagon train going west, when they felt like they were under a threat, they would circle the wagons. Well, each and every day, Jefferson Parish, we sit here and circle our wagons and try to protect what we have. But sooner or later, we have to have the region come together as a whole to make sure we're moving forward in a positive way, too.
Thank you. Commissioner Skrmetta?
Well, I'll stay in my lane. But
you can go out.
I'll tell you that one of the things we need to do for our community, because I'm a Jeffersonian by default, because I think they said in the movie The Martian is once you grow crops on the planet, you've colonized it. So both of my kids were born in Jefferson Parish, so I'm in. We need to minimize renewable energy in our overall portfolio to 20% or less. We don't need to go like California and other people moving to that 50% mark, makes them weak and unreliable, and we're such an industrialized state that we put ourselves at risk for our consumers. So 20% or less and we'll be fine. The other thing we need to do is, if we're going to continue this war on coal, which is largely unnecessary since all of our enemies are on the express train to increase their coal capacities, we need to step into these small modular nuclear reactors and expand it. There are economic ways to do this, and we need to expand that. So if we can keep our traditional sources of electricity at 80%, renewables at 20%, we're going to stabilize the value for our economy and our community.
Thank you. And thank you to our panelists for those informative responses. We appreciate everything you do for the parish. We will now give each of you a couple of minutes just to give closing remarks. And Madam President, we'll start with you.
I just think when I reflect on this week, and I know I talked about recreation, but being out in the community, it's renewed my look at things and the power of a community. And at both of these playgrounds, at Lemon and Avondale, things are moving very quickly because we have that engagement, quicker than we as a recreation department could have done that. So my ask is to all of you, I know you're doing your work and you might think, well, I'm involved in the business community, and get even more involved with us. Take your passion, whether it is your personal expertise, if you're a home builder in that world, or construction, insurance, banker, those are the advocacies that we need from your professional expertise. But if you love dogs, if you love trees, if you love sports, get involved in that way too, because we're going to move fast in recreation because we have the passion there by people who did not see themselves as part of the recreation department. We're going to make magic happen there because it's non-traditional. It's a non-traditional program that we're going that deep into the community. And especially this week, I see the beauty in that, and why can't that happen in all of so many other departments as well. So that's my ask of you. I want to thank you for being such a strong business community with us, JEDCO, all of our business groups. And we're at a turning point here, and a lot of times I come to business meetings and we say that, and we've said that over the year, but especially the past couple years we've been through, we really are coming out of what I think the dark times. And so it's important that all of us, put our foot on the pedal and see how far we can go.
Thank you. Councilman Diblet.
And thank you once again, like I said, thank you to the Chamber and everyone who's come and taken out of their personal day to be here today, because I know we're all busy and have a lot of things to accomplish. Look, I would just like to say it's a joy and an honor to be able to serve the colleagues I have. Each and every day we communicate with each other to make Jefferson Parish a better place to live. It is gratifying to see the progress that you saw today and heard in this room. And that's just a small fraction of what's taking place in Jefferson Parish. We have a lot of other initiatives taking place. We're doing more public-private partnerships than we ever had. There's some things coming online where we're going to be having some shared office use space and public property. One of the things you hear when you talk to the public is, well, government should do more like business, and that's what we're attempting to do. So we're doing more public-private partnerships, looking at you doing shared office space. And one of the things I'm proud to announce, we're going to be bringing the first craft beer brewery to Jefferson Parish. So keep tuned for that, because that's going to be an exciting time for us here in Jefferson Parish.
Well, what about me?
Well, craft beer, that's one of those things in leadership that we're all taking seriously, is moving Jefferson Parish forward. Now is the time for us to show true leadership. I got to state something that I think Todd Murphy's still here. Todd Murphy, when he passed on the gavel to Ruth Lawson, and turning over the gavel, he says, as goes Jefferson, goes the region. Well, it's our duty sitting here as elected officials and residents to be obligated to make sure we show how to lead. So one comment I'm going to say is that, so I'm excited that we're working on doing a joint council meeting, hopefully by the end of this year in December, with the Jefferson Parish Council and the New Orleans Council. They have a joint meeting to actually discuss, discover, and decide on ways to move the region forward together. So, with that saying, this is our time to lead, and I can't think of a better group of elected officials, a better group of businesses, and a better group of friends to make that happen. And thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Diblet. We're so proud of the movement in Jefferson Parish, but we also notice the importance of regionalism. So thank you for leading that charge, and we look forward to hearing more. Commissioner Skrmetta, can you close us out?
Sure. Ricky didn't mention my business, but that's okay. There's Shireen's back there laughing on about it. First off, I'm a member of the chamber. Did the check clear, Ruth?
Yes.
Okay, there we go.
I'll check later.
No, I am a local business owner, and I brought the first beverage alcohol distillery to Jefferson Parish, so there we go. And, I'm really, I represent 11 parishes. I represent the state of Louisiana. But my district is 11 parishes, and I don't want the elected officials of Jefferson Parish to think they got something special because every time they call me, I respond, because it's that way with all 11 parishes. But I particularly find my focus on what I can do to help my home parish. I engage with them at any time, any place, any purpose on what we do with electricity. I help them in any aspect. And I think we have a program at the Public Service Commission where we do about $15 million a year in government energy efficiency grants statewide. And we do school lighting, park lighting, fix air conditioning units that are government-owned to drive the cost of electricity down for local government. And I think Jefferson Parish has received somewhere around $3 million of my grants. We just did some for Kenner for bringing lighting to the football park out there, Bertolino Park. We're going to do more this year. In fact, I was watching you during your visits to some of the playgrounds and stuff, and so we've already talked to my people about going out and putting new lights in some of these gymnasiums to help out with this system. And I've dedicated myself to do what I can do, including directing resources and capital and anything I can do, because I truly love Jefferson Parish. I want to make it as good as we can make it, because many members of my family used to say that everybody floats on a rising tide. So if we can make Jefferson Parish better, everybody else around us gets better. And our goal and my goal is the state of Louisiana has one way to go, because in many ways we are suffering through economic indicators across the board, but we can improve and we can rise as a state, and I think that Jefferson Parish can lead the way. So thank you.
Thank you. So thank you again to our panelists and our presenting sponsor, First Horizon. If you all will be patient with me a few minutes to talk about our upcoming events in the fall, and then I'll announce the 2 winners of the Southwest Airline round trip tickets. If your name is called, please come pick up the prize at the registration table where you checked in. So our next event will be the 16th annual Tour de Jefferson presented by Latrim. Tour de Jefferson is a social ride for cycling enthusiasts of all experience levels and ages through Jefferson Parish. The goal of this ride is to continually enhance the awareness of quality of life amenities, recreational venues, and the master bike plan of Jefferson Parish. So please join us on October 23rd at Estelle Playground. Following our tour, we will have our 23rd annual golf tournament on Thursday, November 10th at TPC in Avondale. Enjoy a day on the links with colleagues and friends, and network with Jefferson Chamber leadership and key decision makers in our community. Teams and sponsorships are still available, so sign up and join us on November 10th. I think we have 1 team left, so sign up quickly. Lastly, the Jefferson Chamber is excited to announce we will host an exclusive 25th anniversary Sterling Moments Gala on Friday, November 18th at the Jefferson Performing Arts Center. This event will serve as a milestone celebration of our organization's impact on the business community in Jefferson Parish during the last quarter century. We are thrilled to invite you and our members to join us for what will be a very special evening featuring an open bar, live music, interactive experiences, and sponsorship opportunities are available, and tickets can be purchased at our website, jeffersonchamber.org. So, for what you've all been waiting for and very patient, I'm still getting you out of here early. I will announce the 2 winners of the round trip Southwest Airline vouchers are Nellie Laverne with On Path, and Amy Vallow at the City of Kenner. I knew I'd get a good reaction at her. So thank you everyone for attending the 2022 State of Jefferson, and we look forward to seeing you all at our next event.
Thank you.
Always.